A decade ago, right in the heart of a bustling city, people were gripped by fear, desperate to comprehend the sight in the sky. Because without warning, high above Tokyo, the inverted castle materialized. And at the very same moment, dungeons erupted across all of Japan. With that, humanity awakened to mana. Those exceptionally gifted with talent, specifically mages, braved the dungeons, earning immense wealth and fame. A mage's talent is typically judged by the color of their mana. Normally, they display an affinity for a single color, but rarely, those with two colors emerge. Take, for instance, the main character's younger brother, Kurosaki Kai, who is a bearer of two colors, blue and red. And right now, he's confronting a fearsome demonic creature, which then starts to unleash its full power. And Kurosaki Kai, thrilled, realizes the demon won't flee. With that, the creature lunges at the mage, who in turn activates his demonic spear skill and hurls it straight at the demon. The creature, with no escape, is struck directly as the beast crumples to the earth. Kurosaki Kai approaches the fallen monster and retrieves the drop it left behind. Meanwhile, a figure stands lost in thought in a corner, and Kai playfully tosses the drop on his head, urging him to be more alert. As he draws closer, he tells the guy to quickly pick up the drop. Kurosaki Kai is also known as the Purple King, a level 89 powerhouse, making him one of the strongest mages alive. The companion, however, privately believes that he, the Purple King's older brother, is utterly incompetent, utterly without aptitude, a complete colorless himself, a rare anomaly in their mana-filled world. This is Kurosaki Rei, level 1. But he knew that even despite this, he couldn't abandon his dream of becoming a mage, and that's why he was forced to work as a porter, as he clung to the idea that, through his brother's pity being part of his team, he naively hoped that perhaps someday he'd awaken an incredible ability. So, clinging to that tiny thread of hope, he joined his younger brother in the dungeons. As they delved deeper into the dungeon, they reached a colossal door. The other members of their party remarked they had finally reached the boss room, and thought, given how easy it had been so far, the boss would surely be a cinch. The moment they stepped through the door, they swiftly scanned their surroundings, and soon spotted a figure ahead. It was Kronos, the enigmatic god of time and space. Kai, paying absolutely no mind, got pumped up, boasting that the boss didn't look like much, then charged up his Demoni Mortis skill, and unleashed it at the boss, who in turn pulled something from a subspace and effortlessly, with the sword he'd just materialized, completely repelled the Purple King's attack. But even worse, Kronos showed absolutely no reaction, which left Kai utterly terrified, unable to comprehend how his attack was so easily brushed aside. Then Kronos unleashed an intense pressure with his gaze, and Kai, feeling this incredible pressure, is petrified, utterly helpless. He's struck directly by an attack from the boss. His friends, simultaneously, are absolutely horrified to realize that the legendary Purple King was utterly wiped out by a single attack. Rei, witnessing his younger brother's elimination, begins to panic, desperate to understand what's happening. Then he looks back, observing Kronos, questions if the Purple King was truly defeated. The others begin to flee from the boss room in sheer terror, but they too are attacked and eliminated. Kurosaki Rei collapses to the ground, unable to believe the horror he's witnessing. Kronos then calls out to the MC and laughs, and asks if he isn't utterly colorless. Rei clenches his fist tight and thinks it's not over yet, because he's achieved absolutely nothing. Then he grabs his sword, and while struggling to his feet, trembling all over, he vows, "I still can't die." Kronos, with his overwhelming presence, remarks it's very interesting that nobody would dare challenge him, even as a colorless being. Rei tries to keep his composure, continually thinking he can't give up here. However, the boss doesn't care, already preparing his attacks. He then announces he'll perform a test, but without giving the MC any time. He launches a powerful attack. Rei can't believe he's already been severely struck and is completely helpless. But the boss, in the blink of an eye, swiftly eliminates him. However, he remarks that he might have gone a little too far. Then, he uses his rewind skill, which brings the MC back, completely intact. Ray, back before he was eliminated, doesn't understand, questioning if he was healed, or what just happened. The boss prepares his firepower, and quickly unleashes his flames of despair skill. Ray faces a massive wave of flames charging his way, and, while desperately trying to react, Kronos comments that this time, he'll give him some time to think. He then starts laughing, curious to see what the boy will do. The MC glances back and spots a sword, thinking that he knows mediocre attacks won't work. But he believes the sword, that the boss himself created, might just have an effect. Thus, he sprints, grabs it, and braces for the impact of the flames of despair. Skill. With this, Ray realizes that the sword's blade can dissipate the flames. So, he charges straight at Kronos. However, as he pushes forward, his body begins to burn from the intense heat of the flames. Ray fights through the excruciating pain. The boss just watches from afar, until something utterly surprises him. It's the MC, driving the sword deep into the boss's chest. Ray, with much of his body still burning, believes he's landed a direct hit on Kronos with his attack, but he, in turn, just laughs and activates his rewind skill once more. Ray is horrified to realize he's been sent back to the moment before his attack landed on the boss, and his wounds are completely healed. Kronos remarks to our hero that it was quite the show. Ray drops his sword to the ground, collapses to his knees, and, as panic sets in, he thinks everything he did was utterly pointless. He then questions if this is truly how he's going to be eliminated, until, out of nowhere, he's completely blindsided by a system screen, flashing right before his eyes. It warns that the presence of a god of time and space has been confirmed, and the black skill seal is released. Kronos notices something strange brewing, but the system keeps going, informing our MC that the extra skill, Steel Skill, has been acquired, and the boss, Kronos' rewind skill, has been stolen. Ray can barely believe his system's warnings and newly acquired skills, while the boss starts to suspect something's up. But without a second thought, our hero uses the stolen rewind skill. With this, he manages to shatter the very space and time he's in. The boss becomes absolutely furious, roaring, "You insolent brat," and demanding to know how a mere human dares to steal his skill. Then, the system warns that regression will be executed. Thus, time starts to rewind, and Kurosaki Ray is hurled back to a time of his choosing. As soon as he awakens in a bed, he thinks he desperately used the rewind skill, but questions what really transpired. He then spots his reflection in the mirror, and something seems off. As he gets closer, he stares at himself, utterly surprised, questioning if this is his younger self. He then wonders if it was all just a dream, until he glances out the window, seeing the inverted castle in the sky. He questions if it's still white, since he knows that just last night, the inverted castle was dark. He recalls a memory, that the castle was once pristine white, until 7 years ago. It was slowly corrupted by darkness, and once it was fully consumed by it, the inverted castle's door swung open. Through it emerged the god of time and space. Ray then begins to grasp the truth. He then recalls that during his fight with Kronos, he stole the rewind skill from him. He grabs his phone, and the moment he sees the date, he confirms his deepest suspicion. Staring at his reflection in the mirror, he realizes he's truly gone back 7 years. He rewound himself into the past. Ray summons his skill window, and as soon as he sees the list, it contains only one skill, Steel. The rewind skill, however, is nowhere to be found, yet still brimming with excitement. He knows at least his Steel skill remains. The MC remembers that for 10 long years, he never managed to gain a single skill. But now he knows that with this skill, everything will be different. Suddenly, a message arrives, and as soon as he sees it, he feels a pang of apprehension, realizing he's regressed to the day of the mage exam. It's held in the municipality of Chiyoda, right in front of Tokyo Station, the headquarters of the Mage Association. Ray remembers this is the national agency that supervises all mages, carrying out missions in dungeons. And as soon as he steps inside, looking around, he realizes the agency looks utterly brand new, a stark reminder of the 7-year difference. He thinks, of course, it makes perfect sense, until someone approaches, sneering, colorless, demanding to know what he's doing here. It's Awoke and Goto. Ray recognizes them instantly. These guys are his brother's pathetic lackeys. Goto throws an arm around the MC, asking if he's still trying to take the exam. Meanwhile, Awoke makes it brutally clear, no matter how many times the MC takes that test, a colorless will always be a nobody. Ray thinks they're absolutely right, knowing full well this isn't his first attempt at the mage exam. He just couldn't give up on becoming a mage. So he kept retaking the exam, even if it seemed utterly useless. He forcefully yanks Goto's hand away, telling them to stop bothering him. The moment he walks away, Awoke demands to know how a mere colorless could dare ignore them, while Goto wonders what's gotten into our MC. Elsewhere, the exam inspector, a rank B mage, Kina Reina, is diligently analyzing some papers. As soon as she spots a familiar name, she asks if he's back again. She takes a deep breath and makes it crystal clear to our MC that, even if it's just an exam, she thinks he might actually end up dying one day. Ray laughs, confidently commenting that this time, everything will work out perfectly. As soon as they enter the exam site, the inspector asks if he really doesn't want her to explain the details. He keeps his eyes fixed on the portal entrance and simply replies, yes. As soon as he steps through it, he thinks he needs to collect 3 magic stones from goblins to pass. And normally, for someone who's awakened an ability, it would be an absolute piece of cake. He then thinks this will end once and for all. It doesn't take long for a sinister creature to begin to approach them. Ray reflects that, with an incident that also happened in the future, he knows the appearance of a monster that shouldn't be in a level 1 dungeon. As he's now facing a level 37 Red Hood goblin, Hinata screams, utterly unable to believe it, want to know why a level 37 monster would possibly be there. Thus, she equips her sword, and while charging fiercely at the creature, yells for the MC to run. Frightened, Ray thinks, absolutely not, because the level difference is far too great. He knows that in the world before rewinding, Inspector Hinata couldn't win against the Red Hood. Thus, she begins to have difficulty defending the creature's attacks, and as soon as she realizes she just can't keep her guard up, fear quickly grips her. The Red Hood goblin smashes through her defenses and flings her far away. Ray can't stop thinking that before she fought to buy him time to escape. And because of that selfless act, her injuries forced her into early retirement as a mage. Ray agonizes, believing it was all his fault, that his own incompetence had utterly ruined Inspector Hinata's career. But then, he gets serious. As the Red Hood charges his way, he braces himself, swearing this time will be different. He hurls his dagger, knowing full well that the Red Hood goblin possesses a skill that boosts its physical capacity. As the creature effortlessly blocks his attack, he realizes it's because it's just that strong, so ordinary attacks won't work. So he leaps and delivers a powerful punch right to the Red Hood's face. He hopes it worked, but the creature only grows even more furious and prepares its next attack. However, the Red Hood feels something strange and looks utterly confused, trying to process what just happened. At that moment, a system notification pops up, informing our MC that he has stolen the body. Enhancement skill from the Red Hood. And now, his own physical capacity has dramatically increased. Then, he observes the Red Hood and strikes it down immediately. And as soon as he eliminates it, he comments that now that he's stolen its skill, he thinks it's nothing more than a worthless piece of meat. The inspector, witnessing this, is utterly perplexed and questions how our MC managed to defeat a Red Hood with a single blow. Ray takes a deep breath, thinking, as expected, his ability to steal other abilities is truly an incredible power. Hinata, snapping him out of it, calls out to him, asking how he managed to do that. Ray feels incredibly embarrassed and thinks that for now, it's better not to mention anything. about his shadowy abilities. He simply replies that it was just a coincidence. This, of course, absolutely infuriates the inspector. She demands he stop lying. However, she quickly changes the subject, commenting that, with the emergence of irregulars, she believes it's better to cancel the exam entirely. She needs to report this incident to the agency immediately. But then our MC turns around, having noticed something glinting on the ground. Picking up an item left behind by the Red Hood, he realizes it's not yet the right time for irregulars to appear. Still, he tells Hinata that he still needs 2 more Mona stones. She immediately spins around and furiously yells, "That now is absolutely not the time to be thinking about that." Suddenly, however, something begins to approach them slowly. As soon as Ray turns to investigate what it is, he spots a pack of goblins. He thinks, just why I needed them most. The creatures pay no mind and charge forward relentlessly. But before they can even launch a single attack, they are utterly obliterated in a single, devastating blow. Hinata, once again, is left utterly speechless. Ray calmly collects the dropped Mona stones, then asks the inspector if he can keep them. She's utterly a loss for words, unsure how to answer. Later, at the imposing entrance of the Mage Association's main headquarters, Inspector Hinata officially hands over the mage license to our MC. As soon as he finally holds it in his hand, he gazes at it intently. Then, he begins to reflect that this moment has taken an incredibly long time to arrive. He knows deep down, he simply couldn't give up on his dream of finally becoming a true mage. He also recalls being just a humble porter for 10 arduous years. But now, he believes he has finally achieved his dream, until Hinata's voice snaps him out of it, asking him to check the details regarding the exchange of mana stones. Ray already knows mana stones drop from monsters and are a valuable source of clean energy that emits absolutely no carbon dioxide. They can also be profitably sold back to the association. As soon as he reviews the detailed breakdown, Ray realizes that since he defeated a rank A monster, this would surely be a generous source of profit. However, upon fully grasping the immense value, he's getting paid for defeating the Red Hood. His eyes widen as he shouts, "Are you serious? 3,000,001? Hinata confirms, yes. After all, you did defeat a Red Hood. Still in disbelief, Ray comments he had no idea majors made this much money. The inspector laughs, making it clear that if it's him, she thinks he'll earn even more soon. While she keeps laughing, the MC remembers something and mentions he has a request. After heading to a reserved area before a portal, Ray raises his hand, seeing the spot is indeed reserved for him. He thinks that until now, he couldn't even dream of a solo dungeon. Then he remembers the inspector, hospitalized after facing the Red Hood. Before the rewind, and how she's now safe and sound, he's utterly relieved, thinking he can finally change the future. Until, out of nowhere, someone uses a mana hand skill and grabs the MC. Someone approaches, want to know what Ray thinks he's doing. It's Godo and Awoke. They demand to know how a colorless, like the MC, dares to try a solo dungeon, and if by any chance, he knows this is against the rules. Ray states he passed the mage exam, and therefore, he has permission to enter a solo dungeon. Godo doesn't like hearing this at all, telling the MC to stop talking nonsense. Awoke, however, grabs Ray's head and, furious, demands he show his abilities. Then Ray, while channeling his power, realizes Awoke's ability, compresses mana into physical form to create the mana hand. That's why he knows the extreme body enhancement he stole from the Red Hood won't be enough to break free. However, he thinks of something, plants his foot firmly and jumps, headbutting Awoke right in the face. He badly injures Awoke's nose. Then, the system informs him that the MC successfully stole the mana hand ability, and because of this, the enemy's mana hand skill was completely deactivated, with their magic now dissipated. Both Awoke and Godo are left trying to comprehend what in the world is even happening. Without a moment's hesitation, Ray activates his newly stolen mana hand technique and seizes Awoke with incredible force. Awoke breaks out in a cold sweat, utterly disbelieving, and asks our MC if he's truly awakened these abilities. Gato takes advantage of Ray's momentary distraction and charges forward, boldly declaring that Ray shouldn't get too excited over such a minor feat as he approaches. He preps his powerful fireball spell. Ray then activates his extreme body enhancement ability and utterly dissipates Gato's fireball attack. Gato can't believe his attack was so easily annihilated. Our MC seizes this perfect opening and charges forward with incredible momentum, landing a devastating punch on Gato that sends him crashing hard against the wall. Awoke is even more shocked to realize that the MC also obtained body enhancement. Thus, the two continue to watch in awe as Ray unleashes his incredible power, wondering if he could truly be a two-colored mage. Our MC takes a deep breath and simply replies, "No." Then, while channeling a new power into his hand, the system proudly notifies him that he has stolen Gato's fireball ability. With that, Ray, now holding his own blazing fireball, makes it perfectly clear to both of them that they forgot to mention one more ability. Gato can't believe the MC apparently possesses a third color, as he's never heard of such a thing. Ray prepares his attack, and then fiercely launches it at his opponent, who has to swiftly jump aside to avoid a direct hit. At that very moment, Awoke realizes that the mana hand skill that was restraining him has been completely undone. Our MC, preparing his fireball skill once more, wants to know if they still dare to continue this fight. Awoke and Gato exchange a terrified glance, and then promptly turn and flee, screaming and begging our MC for his forgiveness. Ray lets out a relieved breath, thinking if his brother ever finds out about this, it won't end well. He's always been. He's treated like his brother's little dog. He then considers that if Kai uncovers his awakened skill, Kai will undoubtedly come for him, especially since his brother has already hit level 50, making him one of the modern era's absolute strongest. However, Kai isn't the only one he needs to watch out for, as a specific dungeon is set to unlock soon. So, standing before the dungeon entrance, he concludes that for now, he must raise his level by any means necessary. As he steps into the portal, he muses that level is indeed the foundation of strength, and leveling up grants new skills and boosts mana capacity. But he reflects that even more crucial is the sheer amount of mana one can control. Then, out of nowhere, an explosion erupts right before him. A level 38 flame mage materializes. Ray, while preparing his own fireball, knows he can barely control it. The flame mage charges his skill, and Ray thinks the level difference makes a colossal impact, even with the same technique. Without giving Ray a second to strategize, the flame mage unleashes his fireballs. Ray attacks too. Some projectiles collide, but others rocket straight for him. He leaps to dodge the incoming assault, and as soon as he repositions, he thinks he can't win a head-on fight. But then an idea sparks, and he lunges as he charges toward the flame mage. He realizes that no matter the level gap, one thing never changes. After using a skill, there's always an opening. He activates body reinforcement, knowing he'll only have 2 seconds, while his opponent is defenseless. With that, he unleashes a powerful punch, slamming right into the flame mage's face, sending him soaring far, far away. The system then notifies our MC that he's successfully stolen the fireball skill. As soon as the flame mage hits the ground, he quickly scrambles back to his feet, try to prepare his skill once again. But he's utterly confused when he realizes he can't use it. Ray, while preparing his own skill, thinks to himself, he knows that once he steals an opponent's skill, they can't use it for a brief moment, making them far less intimidating. So, without wasting any time, he unleashes his new fireball skill on the creature. It's instantly engulfed in a powerful wave of flames. Ray looks to the side, seeing more notifications from his system. They inform him he's leveled up 4 times. He then concludes that defeating monsters at a higher level than his own grants way more experience. But normally, defeating stronger monsters is a difficult task. With skill stealing, though, he believes everything will become easier. Then the system notifies him that our MC has advanced to level 12. Ray clenches his fist tightly, looking at Passage, and thinks that for now, he'll focus on reaching level 30. Thus, he begins battling monsters, going from one to another and constantly leveling up until he pauses for a moment and thinks to himself, he's managed to level up at an incredible speed. However, he's still only at level 27. He then thinks that this was already expected, as leveling up gradually becomes more difficult. And if he wants to reach level 30, he knows he must defeat higher level monsters. After some time walking through the dungeon, Ray reaches its deepest part, standing before the boss room entrance. With that, he thinks that the boss in front of him is the perfect opponent for this challenge. As soon as he opens the door and enters, he sees the boss waiting for him. It's the level 45 skeleton demon, along with its level 30 imps. Ray gets ready for battle and thinks that all the monsters are higher level, and that if he can steal their techniques, he just might stand a chance at winning. Not wanting to waste a single moment, he immediately charges straight for the boss. He leaps, preparing a powerful, body-reinforced punch, but the instant he strikes, the boss effortlessly blocks his attack with an impenetrable barrier, and Ray is utterly shocked and quickly leaps back. He then realizes this was somewhat expected. It won't be easy to get close to the boss, knowing that mana barrier stands firmly in his way, and using skill stealing will be completely useless here. However, the skeleton demon becomes absolutely furious, letting out a piercing, enraged roar. With incredible speed, it quickly closes the distance to our MC, who, in turn, has to dodge at the very last second to escape the creature's brutal attack. He then realizes he'll have no other choice but to employ his secret strategy. Ray notices that even more imps are charging at him as well. So he leaps and delivers a swift punch to one of them. And with that, he activates skill stealing and snatches Ice Stake. Ray then prepares his powerful fireball and launches it directly at another imp. As soon as he spots yet another coming his way, he prepares Ice Stake and hurls it with precision, completely impaling the imp. Oof! Ray lands back on the ground, but the skeleton demon uses its skill to summon even more imps. Ray realizes the boss will just keep summoning these creatures whenever it pleases, while seeing one of them rushing toward him. He thinks that normally this would be quite a problem, but he knows this will actually be incredibly convenient. So, he confidently charges forward and swiftly eliminates the imp. And with that, the system notifies him that he's leveled up to 28. Ray realizes that if the boss keeps doing this, he'll have an infinite source of experience. That is, until he notices another notification from his system, informing him that his mana mastery has reached the required threshold. And because of this, the synthesis skill has been unlocked. What? At this very moment, the skeleton demon completely loses its composure and starts screaming loudly. Ray prepares his Ice Stake once more, alongside his massive fireball. He then activates his synthesis skill and starts fusing the two abilities. He then leaps, going all out against the boss, while unleashing his fire spear skill. The skeleton demon deploys its mana barrier, resulting in a devastating clash of skills. But the boss's mana barrier begins to crack. Soon after, the MC manages to shatter it. He then activates his body enhancement skill and lands a devastating punch right to the skeleton demon's face. While the boss is reeling from the blow, Ray realizes that the enhancements protecting the boss are finally gone. Without a moment's hesitation, he unleashes his fire spear strike, completely incinerating the boss, who then drops a Mona Stone. The system then notifies the MC has leveled up multiple times, reaching level 33. Ray lets out a sigh of relief and thinks about his synthesis skill, an advanced technique that combines skills to forge even stronger ones. It becomes usable once he hits around level 30. Thus, after picking up the drop left by the boss, he sits on the ground, reflecting that he certainly had his doubts, about whether he could defeat this opponent. So he feels utterly relieved, thinking that in the end, everything worked out perfectly, until he's surprised by a system notification informing him that the required level has been reached, and that now, the limit of skills acquired through skill stealing has officially increased. Now, his available skill slots have increased to 5. Ray is thrilled, thinking that now, things will become even more convenient. Some time later, as soon as he leaves the dungeon and returns to the agency entrance, he hands an Amona stone he obtained. Hinata is utterly impressed and shouts, wanting to know if the MC truly managed to defeat the skeleton demon alone, and she's even more shocked to learn that Ray is already at level 33. In just one day, Ray becomes flustered and comments, believing it was purely a stroke of luck. Hinata, however, grows a little suspicious, commenting that reaching level 30 in a single day, that so-called luck he's talking about, is well beyond their normal existential plane. Ray can only offer an awkward laugh. The inspector also stresses that, with his current level, he can become a rank B mage without delay. That is, until Kurosaki. Kai bursts in, surprised to see his brother. Then, with pure arrogance, he demands to know if his brother is truly a rank B. He can't believe a mere little dog could achieve such a feat. Ray absolutely despises hearing this from his brother. Kai then informs the inspector that Ray is utterly incapable of using a single skill, since he's a complete colorless. Therefore, he demands to know if she's truly saying that his brother is now a rank B. Hinata replies, no, but clarifies that Ray defeated a Red Hood and a skeleton demon all by himself. Kai is absolutely furious at this revelation, quickly shooting his brother a nasty glare. With a sinister gaze, he wants to know if it's truly real. Then, he charges up a powerful punch, and an explosion rips through the agency entrance, leaving everyone nearby absolutely terrified. Kai's punch is blocked by his brother's mana barrier, who in turn laughs and warns him to be more careful. Hinata shouts to grab Kai's attention, telling him to stop causing trouble. He in turn tells Ray, it seems it's real. You've awakened your skills. The MC replies with a firm yes. Kai then makes it crystal clear that just because he has a skill doesn't mean his brother can get all excited. Kai then begins channeling his immense power, emphasizing that he'll see for himself if his brother is truly capable. Hinata becomes frantic and shouts, demanding to know if Mr. Kurosaki is actually planning a fight right here. Kai retorts that if his incompetent brother has truly reached rank B, if it was purely about his own skills, it wouldn't be an issue. So, he asks Ray if his B-rank skills were all a lie. Our MC clenches his fist tightly and thinks to himself that even if he refuses his brother's request, it will only delay the inevitable problem. So, he musters his confidence and declares, I already understand. Kai utterly dislikes his brother's attitude and calls him a damn insolent brat. And with that, they head to an arena at the Mage Association Agency. Ray thinks that when fighting someone stronger, you always need to be wary of the difference in mana that can be controlled. Kai gets ready for the fight against his brother, and Ray keeps thinking that he cannot let his guard down, not even for a moment, since he knows that at his level 30, his combo is limited to 3 basic skills. But he knows that Kai is level 50, and his combo capacity must be around 5 skills. So, it would basically be a certain defeat if he only relied on those numbers alone. And that is precisely why he knows he must reduce that gap somehow. So, he decides to deliver the first strike with his ice stake. Kai wastes no time and prepares his fireballs, and both launch their skills. They collide, and an explosion happens right in the middle of the arena. Kai waits for the dust to settle, but ends up utterly surprised, since he sees his brother coming right at him with a body enhancement skill. He then comments that, judging by the yellow color of the enhancement skill, his brother can only be a 2-color wielder. Ray figures that after his brother's 4th skill, he must have enough mana left for only 1 more. So, he prepares his skill synthesis, creates the fire spear, and charges at Kai, who in turn observes his brother's skill and comments on a skill that combines the blue and red colors, and that, in the end, Ray might be a 3-color mage. However, he gives a sinister smile and launches his fireball skill at his brother, slamming him hard to the ground. Ray is terrified and questions how his synthesized fire spear, a combo of 2 skills, lost to a basic one. Kai, seeing his brother able to use 3 color skills, comments that now he understands why his brother was so excited, but makes it clear that he is on a very different level compared to him. Then he prepares his fireball again and shouts, telling Ray to start dancing. Therefore, he launches several fireballs at him, who in turn has to run to the side to avoid being hit by the fireballs. But while running, he prepares his fire spear again and throws it. Kai prepares his fireball and launches it against his brother's skill. His fireball manages to neutralize Ray's and goes straight at him. The MC is forced to quickly use his mana barrier, but Kai's fireball is stronger and manages to break the barrier, throwing Ray hard to the ground. Kai just laughs, seeing that his brother is having difficulties, while Ray starts to get nervous, until Kai makes a sign with his finger, asking his brother to bow his head, as that's how he could forgive what he did. Then he shouts, ordering Ray to ask to be forgiven for being so showy. The MC, sweating cold, thinks that he cannot defeat his brother with his skills and limited mana capacity, and remembering how it was before, thinks that it is better to give up, and questions if he will really continue living his life as his brother's dog, until he stands up and full of confidence shouts, saying that he will not do it. Kai says he understands and that it seems his brother wants to learn the hard way, and that because of that he thinks he has no choice. Therefore, he uses overclock on his fireball skill, which makes the user consume a large amount of mana to temporarily double his mana control capacity. With that, he creates several fireballs simultaneously and makes it clear to his brother that this is the power of a king. A devastating combo of 10 attacks. Ray is terrified, thinking to himself that this is the power that makes Kai so incredibly strong. He also knows that Kai can temporarily wield an absurd amount of mana compared to other kings. However, Ray shouts, warning Kai that he was waiting for him to use this skill. He then charges right at his brother, thinking that only Kai, through overclock, could possibly perform 10 consecutive skills in this entire world. As he gets closer, Ray leaps high. Kai laughs, calling Ray an idiot, and asks if he thinks he can dodge in midair. Kai then launches his fireballs, but Ray activates his mana hand technique and throws it, embedding it firmly into the ground. Kai can't believe his brother just used another skill, while Ray thinks that even 10 consecutive attacks are worthless if he can just dodge them. But his brother is still limited by cooldowns, even for a king. Thus, he takes advantage of his mana hand being stuck in the ground and pulls himself straight to Kai's back. With that, he quickly spins around, plants his foot firmly on the ground, and lands a powerful punch right in the middle of his brother's face. He thinks that in this moment, Kai is completely defenseless. Because of the punch he just took, Kai is thrown hard to the ground. With that, the system notifies Ray that he stole the overclock skill. Ray thinks that, now that he's stolen his brother's strongest skill, Kai has nowhere left to run. Kai tries to stand up, shouting, calling his brother an idiot. Ray is a little surprised, questioning if Kai will really keep fighting. Kai becomes enraged with his brother, making it clear he will eliminate him. He then creates his ice stake, combines it with the flames of his fireball, and creates his demonic spear skill. Ray can barely believe it. He thinks it must be the strongest purple skill, and wonders if his brother has already mastered such a technique already, but he knows there's no time to dwell on it. A powerful attack is hurtling his way, so he leaps aside at the very last second. But Kai is completely unfazed, conjuring 2 more demonic spears. Seeing this, Ray thinks he landed a hit, because his brother underestimated him. But the instant the Purple King gets serious, he knows his brother becomes something far beyond his reach. Thus, he has to quickly leap back, to avoid a brutal hit from the demonic spear skill. But he doesn't realize he's reached the edge of the arena and is now cornered against the wall. Kai makes it clear to his brother that he's nowhere near his limit yet, and asks if Ray knew that. With no escape in sight, Ray unleashes his fire spear skill, just as Kai hurls his demonic spear, and as the attacks collide, a massive explosion erupts. But the powerful impact of the skill's explosion slams Ray hard against the wall behind him. Ray struggles to stay on his feet, but Kai declares that this is why he's called the Purple King, proof that he is the strongest. Ray gasps for air and realizes his brother is right, knowing that the demonic spear is one of the strongest. Kai tells his brother not to be so boastful, just because he can use several skills. Hearing this sparks an idea in Ray. Glancing at his hand, knows that right now he's no match for his brother, but he clenches his fist tight and questions himself about finding the true potential of purple skills. He then watches Kai from afar and realizes that until now, he'd been limited to synthesizing only 2 colors of skills, thanks to his immense mana capacity. With that thought, he decides to test a theory and activates Overclock, the very skill he stole from his brother. Kai can't believe his eyes, watching Ray use his own technique. He questions if this is even truly possible. Meanwhile, our MC, seeing a system screen pop up before him, realizes his mana capacity has now doubled. The system then notifies him that his mana capacity has been drastically increased, thanks to Overclock's activation effect, and the black synthesis skill has been unlocked. Ray is absolutely thrilled to discover he's unlocked a brand new skill, right at the moment he needed it most. Kai, still preparing his formidable fireball, watches his brother intently, wondering what exactly he's planning. Ray continues to observe the power flowing into his hand, knowing full well that this is the fabled 3-color synthesis, a feat no one has ever achieved before. He thus begins to merge the red skill with the blue, then finally the yellow skill, forming a terrifying new dark power, the Abyssal Flame. Kai can't believe he's seeing a black mana power. Ray considers that the basic mana colors are blue, red, and yellow, and he always heard people say that he wasn't suited for any of these 3 colors. But he knows that was never the case, since he's already consumed this mana. He now knows he is, in fact, a black mage. Kai grows worried, and while launching his skill, he shouts at his brother to stay away. But Ray doesn't care. He charges straight into the skill until he discerns the perfect moment to make his move and completely dissipates his brother's attack. With his skill still active and charging right at Kai, he keeps shouting that it's impossible. As Ray keeps advancing, Kai grows even more frantic and creates his skill once more. But before he can even throw it, Ray, now dangerously close, prepares his Abyssal Flame attack, and as both skills violently collide, Kai cannot believe his skill was utterly useless. A massive explosion erupts. Ray patiently waits for the dust to settle, and as soon as the smoke finally clears, he watches his brother crumple to the ground. Utterly spent, he drops to his knees, believing he's finally defeated him, until a system notification pops up, informing him that he's obtained the Abyssal Flame skill through black synthesis. Ray is still reeling from its tremendous power until Inspector Hinata opens the arena room door, immediately asking if Ray is okay. A bit embarrassed, he replies, yes, but looking very surprised. She demands to know what skill he just used. Ray figures this was inevitable, that he couldn't hide his power any longer. So, extending his hand and channeling his new power, he comments, I think this might be a black skill. Hinata is utterly shocked. She then states that if it's really true, it could be the first in the entire world. Ray then asks if he'll have to report this to the association about the black skill, since he'd want it to keep this power a secret. Ray's request leaves Hinata baffled, but stresses that this would be akin to throwing away a huge opportunity. Still confused, Ray asks her to be clearer. Hinata explains that the strongest mage of each color receives the title of king. But in short, since he's the only black mage in the world, he would be considered the Black King. Ray mulls this over, but ends up saying that for now, he's just not interested. He figures it's not like his level would suddenly rise just by becoming a king until he glances to the side and seeing his brother defeated on the ground. He wants to know if he'll be okay. Hinata replies that he is a king and therefore will recover soon, even with all those injuries. But she clarifies that even so, she'll take him to the medical wing until both their phones suddenly receive a message. And Ray can't believe what he's seeing, as it's a dungeon alert that just appeared at the west entrance of Ikebukuro Park, and the recommended level is 70. Hinata cannot believe it either. But Ray knows the time has come, because he has in mind that it is the Ikebukuro dungeon, and its recommended level is 70. And that even though most kings are around level 50, in the first week they realized how weak they were. And as a result, the Ikebukuro dungeon was abandoned. However, this was the starting point of a tragedy. Since the dungeon break occurred, Ray knows that at that time, something like that was still unknown. And that if a dungeon is not conquered within a certain time, the monsters will come out of the portal. With that, the Ikebukuro dungeon was the first recorded break. And because of that, the city of Tokyo became filled with monsters. Many people lost their lives. Ray knows he cannot allow that tragedy to repeat, and that he needs to stop the dungeon collapse somehow. So he tells Hinata that he will conquer the Ikebukuro dungeon. She is very surprised and says that even if it is him, it is still dangerous then. She explains that only mages of at least rank are allowed to enter a dungeon with a recommended level above 50. Ray thinks he is lucky, because there is still some time before the dungeon collapses, so he wants to know if the next ranker exam is next week. Hinata, a little intrigued, replies that yes. Therefore, the MC says that he will reach rank in time for the exam. Hinata is surprised and says that it makes sense, because with his skills, she thinks he would have no problem passing the exam. Ray wants to know if there will be any problem. Hinata explains that to take a promotion exam for rank A, it is necessary to clear a rank B dungeon in a group first, and that in other words, the MC will need to find a group in 1 week and clear a rank B dungeon. After that, some time passes, and the MC is devastated with no hope at all, since he completely forgot what Inspector Hinata had told him he needed to form a group. The moment he taps his phone's messages, he finds multiple people demanding to know why they should join him. A complete colorless. He realizes the news of him being colorless has already spread. He also knows he has 1 week to explore an unexplored rank B dungeon, and he suspects it'll be incredibly tough to clear it alone. So, he takes a deep breath, wondering what to do. Then he hears someone berating another. It's a woman with 2 friends, telling someone she can bet she'll make her work hard. The MC watches the trio being utterly rude. He wonders what's going on. The woman makes it clear she only let the other girl join because she heard she was a 2-color wielder. But her fire skill? It's trash. The girl apologizes. Ray stands up, thinking he just witnessed something very uncomfortable, remembering he was treated the same way not long ago. The woman continues her rudeness, telling the girl, Ichino's, that she's deadweight. The moment Ray hears that name, he questions if it's really Ichino's Aya. He remembers she'd be known as the Scarlet Queen in the future, but currently, she's an incompetent mage. He never imagined, however, she would have been treated so poorly by her own group. Ichino says if she's kicked out, she won't be able to cover her sister's medical expenses. She screams she'll do her absolute best next time. The woman tells Ichino to prove it during their raid later, or she'll end up on the street. Ichino replies yes, vowing to do her best. They start to leave, and Ray keeps wondering if everything will be okay. After that, the MC heads back home. Intrigued, he believes Ichino's will rise to become the Scarlet Queen in just a few years. But he knows that before she reaches that pinnacle, it seems she endured several hardships. He recalls that around this very time, she experienced a devastating incident. She was gravely injured during a fierce battle against a boss, falling into a coma for several long years. As he ponders all this, he suddenly remembers one more crucial detail and wonders, could that incident possibly be linked to the very raid she's about to undertake with the others? He isn't entirely sure, but something about her current state doesn't feel right. He concludes that he must hurry. After some time deep inside the dungeon, Ichinos' group finally stands before the boss, who dramatically plunges his massive sword into the ground. This is the level 45 Dullahan. The woman smiles, revealing a mischievous idea. She shoves Ichinos forward, ordering her to face the boss by herself. Ichinos is terrified, exclaiming, "There's no way I can defeat a Dullahan alone." The woman replies, "If that's the case, then Ichinos, you'd better pack your bags." She vehemently says no, asserting that she will try. The woman tells her to give it her best shot, then asks, "Will you do all this for your little sister, Ichinos?" Ichinos becomes thoughtful, but quickly turns her gaze to the boss, replying that she understands. Ichinos trembles all over, but still prepares her powerful fireball and unleashes it at the Dullahan. However, the attack has absolutely no effect on the creature, who simply stands still. Ichinos becomes extremely worried, seeing that her skill had zero impact. At that moment, the Dullahan leaps up and comes crashing down, striking the ground with immense force. And due to the powerful impact, it flings Ichinos far away, leaving her sprawled on the ground. She watches as the boss approaches her, and as the Dullahan closes in for the final blow, Ichinos closes her eyes, thinking she truly was useless after all. However, someone suddenly arrives. He unleashes a mighty shout, while activating his extreme body enhancement skill. Our MC bursts forth, intercepting Dullahan's assault. Ichinos looks on in utter shock. The MC channels incredible strength and hurls Dullahan crashing into a wall. Ray quickly turns, asking if she's all right. From afar, Ichinos' group keeps their eyes on the MC, and their leader desperately wants to know who he is. She knows Dullahan is a formidable heavy-type creature, yet the MC tossed him aside with a single blow. A wave of dread washes over her, and she really needs to know who he is now. Just then, Dullahan, back on his feet, unleashes a terrifying roar. Ray thinks this was to be expected. His attack wasn't enough to finish the monster. He then keenly observes Dullahan, realizing its armor has a reinforcement ability, which means regular attacks will prove useless against it. So he charges forward. The moment he evades Dullahan's strike, he resolves to steal and nullify its power. He then activates his skill absorption technique. But the moment he focuses on Dullahan, he discovers it utterly failed, only to be slammed by an attack that sends him reeling. Ichinos calls out, "Are you all right?" Ray reassures her, "Yes." He explains he managed to block it with his sword. The MC realizes, I understand. He deduces, Dullahan's armor is merely an external shell. He needs to make contact with its true form. The creature, not letting up, lifts its massive blade and delivers a devastating strike aimed squarely at the MC. Ray yells, "Ichinos, get back." He swiftly erects his magic barrier, successfully repelling the creature's assault. The shockwave is so powerful, it hurls the two girls away, who were accompanying their leader, far from the fray. Their leader, in turn, activates her skill and launches an ice stake. But Dullahan swiftly counters with a devastating strike, utterly obliterating the ice stake. The woman is dumbfounded and takes the full force of the attack, slamming hard into the wall. Ray turns his gaze to the boss and wonders if his ice stake truly failed him. So he prepares for a skill synthesis and realizes he needs a skill that can surpass Dullahan's formidable enhancements. Ichinos is utterly shocked to witness the MC wielding black mana. Ray readies his attack, and so does Dullahan, but the boss strikes first. The devastating blow heads straight for our MC, who waits for the attack to draw just a little closer, then instantly unleashes his abyssal flame skill. It completely obliterates Dullahan's assaults, and with such immense power, the attack surges onward toward the monstrous creature. The moment it struck head-on, its armor begins to splinter and crack. A massive explosion erupts all around it. With nothing left to do, Dullahan is utterly defeated. It drops an item before vanishing into thin air. A very surprised Ichino's questions if the MC truly managed to defeat Dullahan with just a single blow. As she watches him, she thinks he's absolutely incredible. She then calls out to him, thanking him for saving her life. Ray expresses his relief, happy to see she's okay. The MC picks up his drop, then looks at the girl, thinking he finally managed to save Ichino's, until the leader of the girls' group stands up and shouts, demanding to know what in the world is happening. Feeling extremely apprehensive, she thinks that the boy in front of her is truly powerful. She then sports a sinister smile, believing the reward rightfully belongs to her. So, she approaches the two of them, telling them to wait and making it explicitly clear that the reward goes to the person who registered for the dungeon. Therefore, she demands the MC hand over the mana stone. Ichino's quickly tells her to wait, stating that the person beside her saved everyone. Ray emphasizes that he doesn't mind giving her the drop, but in exchange, he wants Ichino's to join his party. This leaves both her and the group leader utterly confused by his sudden request. Ray smiles, then looking at Ichino's, stresses that he only wants it if she wants it. The group leader bursts into laughter and says that she was worried about what he was going to ask, then replies that she accepts his request. Then she puts her hand on Ichino's shoulder and wants to know if she accepts the MC's request. She is a little hesitant, but replies that she is in his care. From that moment on, the group leader quickly grabs the Monazone from the MC's hand, and while leaving says that she never thought she would get so much money from deadweight. Ray does not like that at all, and since he knows who Ekinos will become, thinks that he can hardly wait to see the leader's face. When that happens, until Ichino's asks the MC for permission and thanks him for the invitation, he becomes embarrassed, apologizes, and explains that he ended up making her leave the group. So suddenly then, wants to know if she is sure that everything is okay. She replies that she is just a burden, but ends up being surprised when she hears the MC saying that it is okay, and sees him extending his hand and saying that she will become much stronger than those who abandoned her. Ichino's wants to know if she will really get strong. Ray nods, implying yes, and then says that before going there, he had seen her at the association and ended up overhearing her whole conversation. She remembers the scene she had to go through and feels a little sad. The MC notices this and quickly apologizes, but explains that it was by coincidence, although he thinks he can help her. He says this and extends his hand once again. She is a little reluctant, but soon replies that it is okay, and that she is under his care. He is happy to know this, and as soon as he takes her hand, he comments that he feels the same. Therefore, the next day, they go to the entrance of a dungeon, and while stretching, Ray comments that it is time to conquer a rank B dungeon. Ichino's wonders if, by conquering this very dungeon, they'll qualify for the rank A exam. Ray confirms that's exactly right, but emphasizes there's more to it. He then reveals that, within this dungeon they're entering, there's a key that can make her even stronger. She's instantly intrigued by this key, and thinks, as long as I get stronger and boost my rank, I should be able to gather funds for medical expenses. She then raises her head, determined, and urges Ray to move forward. With that, they both enter the rank B Crystal Cave dungeon, and it doesn't take long for something to catch Ichino's keen attention. She quickly points ahead, urging Ray to look, because they're facing several black wolves. Ray steps forward, telling her to leave it to him. Ray then activates body enhancement and charges straight at the creatures. He lands his first blow on a black wolf, and with incredible, blistering speed, he quickly eliminates several more. Ichino's is utterly impressed watching Ray fight, and thinks the Isoyama group she was part of was strong, but after seeing Ray's fighting style, she realizes he's on a completely different level, and by observing him more closely, she concludes they're not even close to Ray's power. After swiftly dealing with the Black Wolves, they continue walking deeper into the dungeon, and Ray turns to her and explains their objective here, and promises to give her his full support. Ichino steps forward, replying that she understands. Therefore, as she positions herself, she thinks that defeating numerous monsters is the key strategy to level up quickly. But she keeps in mind that, at first, she can only use basic attacks for now. However, seeing several creatures approaching, she realizes she needs to try and change this. So, she casts her fireball at the creatures that are rapidly approaching. Rei watches her fight from a distance and thinks this is a crucial test for Ichinos. But what he truly wants to know is if she'll realize her true weapon. Suddenly, he spots creatures closing in behind her, and the moment he draws his sword, he sends a clear message to the monsters. He won't let them interfere with Ichinos. Meanwhile, Ichinos keeps fighting solo, but she fails to notice a creature right behind her and ends up getting attacked. Ichinos looks around, thinking that, no matter how many she takes down, they just keep appearing and attacking. She then takes a deep breath, realizing that if she keeps going at this pace, her mana will quickly run out. Then, something clicks in her mind. She immediately turns and spots Rei fighting off monsters. As she watches him in action, she realizes he's trying to make things easier for her. So, she concludes she needs to stop lamenting, because she has to meet his expectations. Therefore, she prepares her fireball again, and keeps eliminating several monsters whenever she can. In this way, she starts leveling up several times until, while casting her skill, she begins to notice her mana isn't running out. Rei notices this too, and thinks that it was already expected, since he had known Ichinos was made for long battles, and that her greatest weapon is her vast mana reserves. At that moment, Ichinos notices a system notification, and is very surprised at what it is, since the system is notifying that the furnace has been unlocked. After that, it doesn't take long for them to reach the boss room of the Crystal Cave, and they come across the massive level 52 slime. Rei steps forward and charges at the creature, and while unleashing his attacks, he shouts out, asking Ichinos to use the skill she just unlocked. Without hesitation, she uses the furnace, and her body is enveloped by an intense flame. She is very surprised to notice this, and questions if this really is her power. She then clenches her fist tightly, and Rei, watching her, thinks that the furnace is a skill that drastically increases firepower of her abilities, albeit at a steep mana cost. Because of this, he realizes it's something perfectly suited for Ichinos, who, in turn, unleashes her fireball ability, now amplified by the furnace. The MC is incredibly impressed by her raw power, and thinks she's become even more incredible. He knows that with her tremendous mana reserves, combined with the furnace's boost, Ichinos will definitely use that power to become the Scarlet Queen after defeating the Great Slime. Rei comments to Ichinos that she did a fantastic job. She takes a deep breath, admitting she was quite surprised herself at first. Then she laughs, making it clear that it's all thanks to him. She says this while the MC continues staring at the massive damage she caused to the cave wall with her power. After leaving the dungeon, Ichinos comments that they've finally met the condition to participate in the rank A exam. Rei replies, yes, but he also thinks it's finally time for his promotion, and he knows he'll achieve it, no matter the cost. On the day of the rank A promotion exam, Hinata explains that first, they'll evaluate each person's combat potential and pair them up for a simulated battle. Rei thinks he's finally here at the promotion exam, and he knows he needs to pass and become a rank A mage. While walking through the agency, Rei comments to Ichinos that it's almost time for the exam. She comments that both of them will do their very best. The MC emphasizes that first, it will be a test to evaluate everyone's potential. Suddenly, someone arrives, sneering that they never imagined an incompetent like Ichinos would even take this exam. Ichinos is startled to see who it is. It's Damon Isoyama from her group. Hino immediately demands to know what she wants, but the MC steps forward, making it clear that his friend would never lose to someone who sends another person alone. Isoyama is not happy about him being on the front lines. She scoffs, saying the MC can blab all he wants. She then turns, emphatically stating that, unlike Ichino's group with its weakest link, her team boasts only the absolute best members. With that, she introduces Ono Yuri, making it crystal clear that Ono is someone neither the MC nor Ichino will ever be able to defeat. Rei is utterly taken aback, questioning if it's truly Ono Yuri. He recalls hearing that name from his past life memories, remembering an instance where she cleared an incredibly tough dungeon without even realizing it. After that, her name became legendary. He continues to ponder that, at this moment, her abilities should still be around rank A. Ono quickly approaches the MC, commenting that he seems like an interesting person. Rei is slightly surprised to hear this. Ichino notices and immediately wants to know if the MC finds anything strange. And Ono, as soon as she hears the MC's name, is intrigued. She asks if he's Kurosaki. Kai's brother, having heard the Purple King was defeated by someone. She then points her finger at the MC and asks if he was the one who defeated the Purple King. Rei thinks to himself that she knows too much. Ichino can't believe her ears. She asks her friend if it's true, but Ono turns away, stating she doesn't care about such things. She emphasizes that it's not like the MC could ever defeat her anyway. With that, she departs, mentioning a rumor circulating about the Purple King and that he might not even be a match. In the end, Rei smiles, thinking Ono is a truly intriguing person. Afterwards, at the Mage Association Agency's training field, a guy explains that they'll evaluate everyone's combat potential using the artificial golem beside him. He then clarifies that this golem is coated with a special stone, far stronger than ordinary stones, and so everyone should give their all without fear. With that, he calls Kurosaki Rei to be first up. The moment our MC approaches, the golem immediately enters battle mode. Rei prepares his signature fireball, and some people around start laughing, wondering if the boy truly plans to use fire magic against the golem. While charging at the golem, Rei knows perfectly well in his mind that any ordinary fire magic wouldn't be able to defeat such a formidable foe. And as soon as he dodges the golem's attack, he prepares his skill synthesis. He then unleashes the fire lance that strikes the golem right in the head, tearing a tremendous hole straight through it. It then crashes hard to the ground, and the examiner shouts, declaring the golem's destruction confirmed. The very people who were just laughing can't believe what they just witnessed and question if it was a two-colored attack. Iono explains that our MC fused fire with blue mana to amplify the power of his fire magic. After that, Ichinos is up for her mana evaluation, and the examiner asks Ichinos to place her hands on the crystal to assess her mana quantity. Isoyama comments that she should be ashamed of herself. Ichinos, after placing her hand on the device, releases an incredible surge of power throughout her entire body. Isoyama and the others are left open-mouthed, utterly not believing what they're seeing. Then, Isoyama starts thinking Ichinos must at least be cheating because she doesn't think Ichinos could possess such a tremendous amount of mana. It doesn't take long for the simulated battle test to begin. The examiner then announces they'll be starting, thus announcing that the first battle will be between Ichinos and Isoyama. While Ichinos takes a deep breath to focus on the battle, Isoyama is thinking she'll show everyone Ichinos' fraudulent nature. The instructor shouts for them to start. Isoyama wastes no time, immediately casting her ice stake magic. Ichinos waits for the attack to draw a little closer, and as she prepares her fireball, she hurls it directly at the ice stakes. The skills collide, unleashing a massive explosion, completely shattering the ice stakes. Isoyama is utterly shocked, exclaiming that she never expected Ichinos to possess a skill with such immense firepower. She then demands to know what in the world is happening. However, Ichinos doesn't want to prolong this fight. She immediately prepares another fireball, which sends a shiver of fear down Isoyama's spine. Then Ichinos casts her skill, But Isoyama quickly activates her magic barrier, blocking the attacks and shouting, "Don't you dare underestimate me." As she continues to block the onslaught, Isoyama thinks Ichinos is truly an idiot, as her attack seems far too simple. She believes she'll just wait for her to finish, then launch her counterattack. However, the attacks keep coming, relentless and nonstop. Isoyama finds this incredibly strange, questioning why Ichinos hasn't stopped attacking yet. Meanwhile, Rei, watching his friend fight, knows that once Ichinos, with her massive mana reserves, starts an attack, a simple magic barrier won't be enough to stop her. Therefore, Ichinos intensifies her attacks even further, and Isoyama's magic barrier begins to develop several cracks. It doesn't take long for the barrier to completely shatter. This forces Isoyama to flee to avoid a brutal direct hit. However, due to the explosion's impact, some debris forcefully strikes Isoyama's head, knocking her out cold. With that, the instructor shouts, announcing that the winner is Ichinos. Ichinos, in turn, is overjoyed to realize that she actually managed to defeat Isoyama. In the end, Rei approaches her and congratulates her on a great job. What a breathtaking battle it was. Akino is absolutely thrilled. He remarks that this is almost too good to be true, as he wishes him good luck. Someone then approaches Rei. He thanks her, then sees who his next opponent is. Right then, the instructor shouts, telling Kurosaki Rei and Ono Yuri to get ready. The MC comments that ultimately, his simulated battle opponent is none other than her, because he thinks this is going to be incredibly interesting. Ono points her finger at the MC and asks him if there's any reason for him to be taking this exam, because she feels he's more than prepared for this than any of the other participants, which explains her question. Rei says he has something he needs to accomplish more than anything else. He gets serious, making it clear, "That's why I cannot lose here." Ono looks thoughtful, but soon she smiles, releasing her power. She says she's very strong, asking if the MC knew. Rei grips his sword, replying that he knows very well, but still intends to win. Ono comments that she already expected as much, and thinks he truly is an interesting guy. And with that, the instructor shouts, telling the two to begin the battle. Ono uses her skill, declaring she'll attack first, then launches her ability straight at the MC, who, in turn, tries to defend himself by countering the strikes coming his way. As he defends, he thinks that mana conversion is a rare skill that allows its user to freely manipulate mana. Then he notices something hurtling from above, and quickly leaps to the side to avoid a direct hit from Ono's skill. She laughs, making it clear that he did well to dodge that attack. But Rei doesn't care and charges straight at her. She makes it clear she can't allow him to reach her this easily, so she launches even more attacks. Rei uses his magic barrier to block the attacks, and then delivers a counterattack, but she manages to dodge it. The MC tries to take advantage of her midair position. He activates his skill synthesis, launching his blazing fire lance. Ono instantly forms a shield with her mana conversion and effortlessly blocks the MC's skill. As she lands, she remarks, "That was close." Rei notes that her defense is absolutely flawless and that she's incredibly strong, just as anticipated. Meanwhile, Ichinos is utterly apprehensive, watching her friend's fierce battle unfold. Then Ono readies another skill, and mid-launch, she challenges, "What do you think, MC?" Rei is forced to run, dodging the barrage of attacks, thinking, this really is a problem. Ono taunts, "Rei, do you really think you can defeat me by just running from side to side?" She then unleashes her skill once more in his direction and triumphantly declares, "Checkmate." However, he activates extreme body enhancement, countering every single attack heading his way. She observes him closely and realizes he's using body enhancement. She gets incredibly excited, a wide smile spreading across her face. She then exclaims, "It's the first time I've seen someone with 3 colors of mana." But she quickly clarifies that she can use body enhancement too. Upon using the skill, she conjures a mono-side and declares they'll settle this once and for all. She then swiftly advances, appearing instantly behind the MC, poised to strike. But Rei spins around at the last second and repels the blow. Thinking she's incredibly fast, Ono remains unfazed, unleashing a barrage of consecutive attacks, using her mono side, forcing the MC into a desperate defense, until she delivers a strike with even greater force, forcing the MC to leap sideways to avoid the hit. Rei acknowledges her truly absurd power, but swiftly closes the distance between them, grabbing her arm. Ono then declares that he just made a terrible choice. However, Ono feels something bizarre, her confusion mounting. The system then notifies her extreme body enhancement has been absorbed. She immediately leaps to the side, realizing her power is rapidly fading. But Rei seizes the opening and lunges forward, then smashes a direct hit right into her. Ono immediately starts coughing from the brutal impact of the strike, and just before collapsing, she remarks that in the end, the MC was holding back his true power. With that, she plummets to the ground, and the instructor yells out, loudly announcing that the winner of the simulated battle is Kurosaki Rei. Sometime later, in the medical wing, Ono slowly begins to stir awake. Rei is clearly relieved and happy to see her finally conscious. Ono then admits that she truly lost the battle, but Rei immediately stresses that he never expected her to be this incredibly strong. She wants to know if he really means that because she bets. He's not about to humble brag about his promotion. Rei's expression turns deadly serious, and he declares he's going to be completely honest. Then, he wants to know what she thinks about joining his group. Ono is absolutely stunned by the sudden, unexpected invitation. The MC then explains that, according to the results of the simulated battle, she was also promoted to rank A. He emphasizes that, in order to conquer the most challenging dungeons, he absolutely needs her power. However, Rei is left completely baffled, not understanding a thing, when he sees Ono burst into laughter. As soon as she manages to stop laughing, she emphatically states that he truly is an interesting guy. Therefore, she agrees that it's fine, and she thinks things might actually get more interesting if she follows him after all. And as soon as they both clasp hands, she makes it clear that she's now officially under his care. Then, suddenly, a powerful tremor shakes everything. Ichino's, visibly terrified, desperately asks if it could be an earthquake. Rei stares outside, incredibly scared, wondering if it's truly what he fears it is. Meanwhile, Kronos, the god of time and space, is completely sealed away. But he grins, thinking that his time is finally drawing near. Back with the MC, as soon as the tremor finally subsides, Ichino's wants to know if it's truly over. Rei can't stop thinking about the earthquake he just felt. He remembers that in his previous world, there were numerous earthquakes. Right before the Ikebukuro dungeons collapse, he basically knows they're currently reaching their time limit. Besides, he's keeping in mind that the Ikebukuro dungeon's difficulty is unprecedented in this era. Therefore, he tells the two he has something important to say. After revealing everything he knows, Ichino's is utterly surprised and wants to know if he's truly serious about wanting to conquer the Ikebukuro dungeon, since she knows it's the hardest dungeon on the entire Japanese peninsula. She wonders if, even so, they still need to conquer it with just the three of them. Ani asks if the MC is suggesting this because of the previous earthquake. He becomes serious and replies, yes, and explains he has a very bad feeling about it. There have been many reports lately about the appearance of irregular monsters, and he thinks it seems like a prelude to something threatening. Ayano makes it clear she's fine with any situation the MC decides to face, and also finds an interesting place to go. After all, Ichino's fills herself with confidence and promises she'll try her absolute best not to be a burden to anyone. Rei breathes a sigh of relief, then thanks the two of them, and declares they'll conquer the Ikebukuro dungeon. The very next day, at the reception of the Mage Association Agency, someone arrives, calling for Inspector Hinata, and saying they have a favor to ask. It's the MC and his group, and Rei says they want to conquer the Ikebukuro dungeon. After that, already in front of the dungeon, Ayano says she's really excited to know. She'll have to face a super difficult dungeon with a recommended level above 70. Ichino suggests that if possible, it would be better if they could work together. With other mages present, Rei declares this mission impossible. They simply don't possess the necessary rank. They need a mage who can be dispatched immediately. And then he points out it would be great if someone named Oikawa were here right now. The MC recalls that before his regression, Oikawa was the highest-ranked individual in all of Japan. He believes this person would be a tremendous help in a moment like this, especially since he remembers that if the dungeon collapse happens again, the god of space and time, Kronos, will appear. That's precisely why he absolutely must prevent such an event. Therefore, he tells the two to go right away. But Iono raises her hand, saying that before they do, she has a favor to ask. She wants to know if the MC can also call her by her first name, as she feels her last name is too formal. Ichinos feels the same way, and asks the MC to consider it. Ichinos then smiles, asking if, in the end, they aren't all friends here. Rei likes hearing this and comments that she's right. With that, he calls for Aya and Yuri to conquer the Ikebukuro dungeon. As soon as they enter, Rei notices something ahead. It's a level 71 skull demon, which quickly notices their presence. The MC, while preparing himself, thinks this would be a boss monster in other dungeons. But here, the skull demon appears like any other normal monster. He then calls out to Aya and Yuri. The two immediately shout that they're ready. Therefore, as the three charge at the creature, it conjures a mana barrier. Rei, using his synthesis skill, realizes they need to destroy the mana barrier first. He casts his fire lance and realizes a single hit isn't enough to shatter the barrier. But then he shouts, urging the two to act. He jumps to the side, while Yuri and Aya prepare their skills. And as soon as they clash with the skull demon's barrier, they finally manage to break it. Rei rushes in to seize the opportunity and strikes the demon down, defeating it and making it drop a valuable mana stone. Our MC is ecstatic. Having vanquished the dungeon's first creature, he then turns to his friends, remarking on their impeccable timing. Yuri then mentions she's been wondering something ever since their intense fight, and asks how our MC can wield so many skills. So he's slightly taken aback by the sudden question, but eventually reveals he possesses a skill called Skill Steal. Confused, they press him to elaborate. Rei explains that simply by touching an opponent, he can steal their skills. Yuri suddenly remembers their past encounter, realizing that's exactly what happened that day. Meanwhile, the MC assures them he already returned the stolen skill to Yuri. Aya is utterly impressed and questions if Rei truly possesses such an ability. She admits that while she was surprised when he first mentioned his plan to conquer the Ikebukuro dungeon, she now understands his confidence better. Just then, Rei urges the two to keep moving forward. Aya reflects that as long as Rei is with them, she believes they'll be just fine, and she's sure she won't be a burden. Afterward, the MC continues to vanquish creatures, with Yuri and Aya doing the same. It doesn't take long before they reach the boss room. Aya, feeling a little apprehensive, comments that the ground's rumble is growing louder, and she knows a boss monster will be powerful, but wonders if they'll truly be alright. Rei points out that everyone's level has increased on their way to the boss chamber, which is why he believes it should be possible. Aya admits she thinks he's right, but pauses for a brief moment, thinking that she knows it's true. That Rei is growing stronger after each fight, and Yuri is also getting used to battling. Because of this, she knows she needs to support them at the very least. Then suddenly, something crashes hard onto the ground right behind Aya. Rei and Yuri whip around, struck with terror. A blur of something rockets straight for Aya, who, utterly helpless, can do little else, but is seized and dragged away from her friends. They're left screaming her name, riddled with concern. What snatched her? It's the colossal boss of the Ikebukuro dungeon itself, the level 89 Reaper. The MC is absolutely terrified, convinced that he knows for a fact this boss shouldn't be able to leave its chamber. So he demands, what the hell is happening? Meanwhile, in the eerie place where Kronos is sealed, he only lets out a chilling laugh. Yuri asks if the MC truly believes this situation is as dire as it seems. He admits that, yes, the situation is critical, but fiercely declares that no matter what, they will save Aya, come hell or high water or elsewhere in the domain, where the god of time and space is confined. He observes that the monsters have seemingly been unleashed, and recognizes this is the extent of his current power. Thus, he hopes the MC becomes the very first victim of this grand opening. Ray shouts out, desperate to know if his imprisoned friend is okay. She strains to reply that somehow she is, but mentally notes that while she can block, escape is impossible. She never wanted to be dead weight for her friends. Ray spots that she's managed to conjure a mana barrier around herself, but he knows that even for Aya, who possesses immense mana, there's a limit. Watching her from a distance, he realizes he must use his abyssal flame. Yet, he fears Aya might get caught in the blast, so he has to find a way to save her without harm. Thus, the MC makes his plan clear to Yuri. He'll try to divert the boss's tentacles, and she should focus on saving Aya. She quickly responds that it's fine, emphasizing that it's not, as if she has another choice anyway. With that, the two charge headlong at the boss, who instantly attempts to strike the MC down, but he narrowly dodges it at the final second. Ray is aghast to realize that even a normal attack from this creature holds such destructive power. So then, he knows he absolutely can't afford a direct hit. Just as he lands back on the ground, something strange starts stirring behind him. Suddenly, a massive tentacle bursts from the earth, lunging right for him. Aya screams in fright, overwhelmed with worry for Ray. The MC instantly uses his mana hand, grabbing onto the wall directly in front, and pulls himself to narrowly dodge the incoming tentacle. He then thinks, that was too close. Just then, Yuri comments that this amount of distraction is more than enough. She leaps over to where Aya is held and strikes one of the coiling tentacles, trying to free Aya with her powerful Mon Acid. However, both the MC and Yuri are taken aback by what happens next, as the boss monster activates a strengthening skill on one of its tentacles. And because of this, Yuri is immediately forced to retreat, and as the MC rushes to her side, he quickly asks, Yuri, are you alright? She replies, yes, but as the two turn to face the boss, she asks, Ray, don't you think something feels off about this? He agrees with her assessment, thinking that monsters with tentacles normally possess low defense. However, he's never heard of one possessing a strengthening skill. And on top of that, this creature even left its own room. Therefore, he knows something truly strange is afoot. Meanwhile, the god of time, from his vantage point, simply continues to observe the unfolding chaos. At that moment, the MC sees the boss preparing its next attack, and grimly comments that, unfortunately, they don't even have a moment to think. Both Ray and Yuri are then forced to defend themselves as best they can from the boss's technical attacks. Aya watches this unfold and blames herself entirely, knowing she's always relied on Ray, and that he made her battles far too easy. She then pounds on her barrier, thinking she desperately needs to do something to help them, until Yuri, attempting to put more force into her attacks, ends up losing her Mona's side. She then comments that things are truly getting complicated. Ray starts to visibly worry, thinking both their mana reserves are almost exhausted with the constant fighting. Gazing at Aya, he ponders, if only everyone's mana was in top shape, things would be different, until a sudden idea hits him. So he shouts out, pleading for Aya to use her mana fusion skill on them. She looks a little confused, and Yuri questions if that skill isn't completely useless, as it consumes a massive amount of mana, all while they keep defending from the boss's relentless attacks. Ray, however, knows something crucial. It's true that mana fusion was seen as useless in his previous life, but thanks to a certain powerful mage, its value was completely reversed. And the one who proved it was Aya herself. She's the one who mastered it in his previous life. Aya, meanwhile, ponders mana fusion and how she'd never once used this skill, because she considered it useless. But knowing Ray is asking her to use it, then she'll fully trust his judgment. So without hesitation, she wastes no more time and unleashes her mana fusion skill, which quickly begins flowing toward the MC. And Yuri is utterly surprised, questioning if her mana is truly being restored. Ray gets excited, knowing all too well, mana fusion shares the user's mana, a skill that only a mage with vast mana can truly master. But he also knows something else important. Aya is impressed to learn that she can share her mana with her friends. But seeing them merely defending against the attacks, she realizes it's still not enough. So, she deduces it must be, because she's still using her barrier. So, after realizing this, she swiftly dispels her barrier, which draws her friends' worried attention. Ray becomes very frightened, wanting to know why Aya dispelled the mana barrier. She's then immediately grabbed by the boss's tentacles. But even as she struggles to resist, she unleashes her furnace skill, which rapidly amplifies the power of her mana fusion skill on her friends. Ray shouts, worried for his friend, but Aya, nearly out of strength, declaring she'll leave the rest to them. And the moment she's fully ensnared by the boss's tentacles, Ray turns serious, calling out to Yuri. Without another word exchanged, both unleash everything, charging the creature. Yuri remembers Aya's incredible dedication, knowing she must show the same resolve. Meanwhile, our protagonist thanks his friend for boosting their strength. With renewed power, the two head straight for Aya, who's still held by the crushing tentacles. Both of their powers now fully replenished. They effortlessly slice through the boss's tentacles, as if they were nothing. Seeing this, Ray shouts, "Now we can forge any path we desire." Ray continues clearing the way toward Aya, thinking how, thanks to her, who recovered everyone's mana, they can now pierce the enemy's defenses with their enhanced skills. He then calls to Yuri, saying, "We'll save Aya with this next boost." However, Aya is already nearly out of strength, still completely trapped. Ray presses on toward her, but struggles to advance. Through the boss's relentless tentacles, he's forced to briefly retreat. At this rate, he fears they won't reach her in time. Suddenly, Yuri unleashes her power, calls out to our hero, and declares she'll open a path for him. With that, she begins shaping her ability, creating a luminous staircase straight to Aya. Without hesitation, Ray bolts forward, thanking Yuri for such an incredible move. But still, the boss refuses to let our heroes advance, unleashing more tentacles. This time, however, Ray activates his body coating, dashing forward at blinding speed, slicing through the tentacles as if they were air. The moment he reaches his friend, he scoops her into his arms and leaps away. Mid-air, Ray glances back, checking if the boss will pursue, but sees no immediate movement from it. He touches down with Aya, immediately checking if she's alright. Aya lets out a light laugh, declaring that she fully expected nothing less from our MC. Ray breathes a sigh of relief, glad she's unharmed. Yuri approaches Aya, genuinely thanking her for saving everyone by fully restoring their mana. Yuri also commends her for being incredibly brave. Aya offers a warm smile and thanks Yuri back, but then her gaze sharpens as she turns to the boss, saying she doesn't believe their fight is over just yet. Ray nods in grim agreement, emphasizing that the boss's main body still stands. Just then, something truly unsettling begins to stir among the severed tentacles, and suddenly, they all regenerate in an instant. They launch themselves rapidly toward our heroes, forcing the group to leap back to avoid a direct hit. Ray grimly observes that this will be a massive problem if the monster continues to regenerate endlessly. Suddenly, a massive tentacle bursts from the ground, aiming for Yuri, but she deftly dodges. She quickly counterattacks the tentacle, then yells out, demanding to know what our MC has in mind, because at this current pace, she fears the situation could escalate drastically. She's taken aback to hear the MC call out to her, telling her to leave everything to him. Yuri declares that, while incredibly frustrating, she will trust him, assuming he has a solid plan, because she honestly doesn't think they have much time left to finish off the boss. Ray plunges his sword into the ground, agreeing with her assessment. He then charges forward at blinding speed, declaring he'll absolutely finish this once and for all. Yuri's eyes fall upon his sword, and she wonders if he'll truly attack, using only his body, completely unarmed. In that very moment, a tentacle lunges forward, but Ray effortlessly dodges it. He realizes that the boss can still regenerate, even after taking a direct hit from his abyssal flame. With that in mind, he activates his overclock, considering that if he doubles his raw firepower, things might just turn out differently this time. He then begins meticulously preparing his power, summoning his fearsome abyssal flame. The boss doesn't stay idle, unleashing a tremendous roar. Ray patiently waits for the perfect moment, and as soon as he spots an opening, he unleashes his abyssal flame skill at the creature, which becomes terrified. Upon seeing a powerful attack approaching, but unable to do much, is brutally struck and has a hole blasted clean through its body. With that, the boss is defeated, crashing hard to the ground. Ray breathes a sigh of relief, seeing his attack succeeded. Elsewhere, the god of time and space is utterly surprised to see his creature defeated. He thinks he never imagined the Reaper would be beaten. He then becomes furious, still observing them, deciding he'll make sure none of them leave alive. While Aya is excited to see the MC manage to eliminate the creature, she doesn't notice something strange happening right behind her. A strange power begins emerging from the defeated creature, rapidly advancing toward the MC's group. As soon as he senses something approaching, he shouts for everyone to be careful. However, the thing moving toward them stops midway. Ray comments that the strange thing is coming out of the body of the defeated Reaper, and suddenly, the entire body of the boss begins to release a strange dark energy. The MC shouts for everyone to run away immediately, saying he doesn't know what it is, but is sure they need to get out of there as fast as possible. While they run from the strange thing chasing them, the MC thinks he needs to prevent the dungeon from collapsing. Then he looks back, worried, thinking there's no way he can die there, until they see a light at the end of the tunnel and shout that it's the exit. However, the dark energy catches up, and Aya, Yuri, and Ray become utterly frightened when they realize they won't escape. But a voice shouts for them to move aside, and a huge magic shield is instantly created, blocking the dark energy from doing anything. Aya is surprised, and the MC looks to the side to see who it is, also becoming surprised. As the person who created the shield gets closer, Ray immediately wants to know who he is. The man effortlessly cancels his skill. He laughs, noting they were nearly attacked. Aya thanks him, but can't help asking his identity. The blonde introduces himself as Oikawa Hikaru, and Aya is visibly stunned to realize who he is. Oikawa continues laughing, asking if she recognizes him. Aya reminds the MC that he previously mentioned Oikawa was the person before they entered the dungeon. Ray confirms this, emphasizing strongly that Oikawa was exactly who he wanted help from. He believes Oikawa is currently stronger than any of them present. After all, he's an S-rank mage, and he also recalls that Oikawa was known as the Yellow King in his previous life. He then reflects on his barrier skill and acknowledges its immense power. Without it, he realizes the situation could have spiraled out of control. The blonde states that upon entering the dungeon, the situation certainly looked grim, but he's relieved he arrived just in time. He explains he'd been sent to another dungeon at the country's special request, and someone there informed him of their predicament. Ray's curiosity piques, wondering who could have told him, but quickly remembers Hinata yelling at him for being reckless. He concludes it could have been none other than her. Oikawa's expression turns serious. He asks if the MC is the Purple King's brother. Ray is shocked he knows his brother, so he immediately questions if Oikawa knows him personally. Oikawa replies he's heard of him countless times, but wasn't particularly interested, though he quickly adds the MC needn't worry about any of that. Ray says he understands, thanking him for the crucial help. Oikawa laughs, stating it's no big deal, and that he didn't really do much at all. Then he emphasizes that the MC did an excellent job defeating the dungeon boss. At that very moment, The boss's dropped item begins to shine intensely. A dark, mysterious stone falls to the ground. Oikawa walks over, picks it up, and comments that if the Mona stones are this massive, the boss truly must have been powerful. With that thought, he casually tosses the stone to our MC, congratulating him heartily. Ray is taken aback and immediately pipes up, asking if it's really okay for him to keep the dungeon drop. Oikawa states that no matter what unfolded, it was our MC who truly conquered this dungeon. Before making his exit, he declares he eagerly looks forward to our MC's future achievements and is certain he'll be even more thrilled soon. Shortly after Oikawa departs, the MC's group is utterly bewildered by this whole unexpected turn of events. And right after that, they all make their way to the association building. As soon as they step inside, IA's comments on how peculiar Oikawa is. Ray agrees, stressing that he believes Oikawa might just be a super laid-back guy, or perhaps someone with way too much free time. Hinata spots the MC and lets out a frantic shout of his name. Clearly worried, sick, wanting to know if he's alright. She explains her concern because he took far too long, after requesting permission that very morning. Then, she points out that on top of that, the dungeon he entered is recommended for level 70 and above, making it far more perilous than the others. However, she quickly shifts gears and asks how his conquest progress went, and if he's already managed to clear the area near the entrance. Ray dramatically places the boss's drop on the counter and announces that they actually completely conquered the dungeon. Both Hinata and the other inspectors are absolutely stunned. When they behold the drop, then she lets out a loud shout, demanding to know how that's even possible. Elsewhere, some people are glued to the news, reporting that someone has conquered the Ikebukuro dungeon. They're utterly shocked, desperate to know who pulled it off. Since it's a level 70 dungeon, in another location, a bald man bellows for someone to schedule a meeting with the dungeon conqueror, and with the association as well. Later, Aya is thinking she can finally cover her sister's medical expenses after conquering the dungeon. And while giving an interview at a press conference, she realizes she's incredibly grateful to the MC who invited her. Isoyama catches Aya's interview on a massive screen, and one of her colleagues calls out to her, asking if that's really Aya. Isoyama is utterly flabbergasted, convinced this has to be a lie. Kurosaki Kai spots the news. His brother's the dungeon conqueror. He's immediately incandescent with rage, convinced his brother's a total bastard. Meanwhile, someone receives a mysterious message, asking if it's really true that a colorless one conquered the Ikebukuro dungeon. The person then remarks, the MC's become a massive scandal, and apparently he's grown much stronger. The conversation continues for a while until finally, the mysterious person sends another message, stating that the weakest person conquered the hardest dungeon, which is quite intriguing indeed. Oikawa, standing atop a building, messages someone else, saying it's exactly as he'd expected. Meanwhile, the MC walks through the city, gazing up at the dungeon he conquered. He thinks it's a good thing. He managed to prevent the Ikebukuro dungeon from collapsing, but remembering the help he received, he clenches his fist tightly and concludes he only succeeded because everyone helped him. Then he turns around, very serious, thinking he needs to get stronger no matter what. With that, 3 days pass. At the association, Hinata spots the MC and immediately informs him that the association is full of people talking about him lately. Ray feels embarrassed, calling it quite shameful, but he quickly changes the subject, calling Hinata, and asks if she had something to tell him. She says his group received a request to conquer a certain dungeon. They're surprised, and the MC wants to know why, since they've just advanced to rank A. Hinata replies, yes, and showing a document. She explains that it's probably because of their Ikebukuro dungeon conquest. Ray knows that dungeon explorations are usually requested by mages themselves, and that the association only allows such requests to be made to a limited number of mages. Aya gets excited and exclaims, I'm sure they're counting on the MC's strength. Ray offers an awkward smile and declines. He explains he wasn't the only one requested, after all. But then, his interest is piqued, and he just has to know who made the request. Hinata apologizes, explaining that their superiors ordered everything to remain completely secret. Yuri pipes up, asking why they can't accept such an interesting mission, especially when it's right there for the taking. The MC points out that it's a request, made directly through the association, so he doesn't find it suspicious at all. Hinata turns to the MC, adding that, in addition to what she'd already mentioned, about the secrecy of the request. It seems a rank S mage will be joining their party, so the very next day, everyone gathers as the MC announces that they'll meet their accompanying mage at their designated location. Aya wonders what kind of person it could possibly be. Just then, they turn, hearing someone call out to them. It's Oikawa, who saunters in, stating that they'll be working together on the dungeon conquest. Everyone is utterly flabbergasted to learn Oikawa is joining their team. Once everyone enters the dungeon, Rei admits he never expected Oikawa to be with them. Oikawa just laughs, saying he knew from the start and just wanted to surprise them. But he adds that he's still genuinely excited, since the whole world is paying close attention to the conquest they'll achieve together. Aya points out that Oikawa seems like a very carefree person. Rei says that regardless, he knows Oikawa is a rank S mage. He calls out to him, saying he heard there's a complicated mechanism inside their current dungeon. Oikawa confirms this, explaining that, based on the patrol team's report, there was a wall of fire blocking their path. Aya is immediately intrigued by this, and the MC wants to know how they'll manage the situation. Oikawa starts to show off, declaring it'll be handled with his barrier skill. He boasts that while he's around, a wall of fire will be absolutely nothing. They watch him brag endlessly. Rei's thinking that so far, Oikawa seems like a pretty friendly guy, but he can't help but wonder why everything comes so easy to him. So the blonde guy then emphasizes that everyone here will totally understand once they see him in action. He even tells them to think of him as carrying them all on a massive ship. However, something suddenly catches our MC's attention. As he spots several huge insects hurtling right at them, he quickly shouts to everyone that a monster wave is fast approaching, and they'll have to fight them off. Our MC gets serious, thinking it's the perfect time to see how strong an S rank mage truly is, but he ends up stunned when he sees Oikawa trembling in a corner. The blonde guy, shaking all over, admits he's absolutely terrible against insect-type monsters. Aya shouts for him not to say that so proudly, especially since he just claimed he'd carry everyone here. Like a big ship, Rei makes it clear they have no choice but to handle this themselves. With that said, as the insects get closer, our MC shouts for everyone to get ready for battle. Aya wastes no time activating her fireball, and as soon as she hurls it at the creatures, Yuri seizes the opportunity to move forward, confidently declaring that these insects are nothing compared to the monsters they've fought before. With that, she activates her mana conversion and starts utterly decimating several insects. Rei watches the remaining ones closely, prepares his skill synthesis, and conjures a fire spear. He then hurls it, striking multiple insects at once. Oikawa, still cowering in the corner, is completely impressed by our MC's power. Aya gets excited, exclaiming, "They did it!" Rei replies, "Yes," and comments that everyone did a great job. A bit embarrassed, Oikawa walks up to them, saying that apparently he ended up being saved. But while he's trying to explain that he really hates insects, something sinister is watching them from afar, and Rei feels an intense sensation of being observed. He quickly shouts for Oikawa to be careful, because several more monsters are charging right at him. The blonde guy immediately becomes serious. He unleashes his skill, engulfing the wolves, and in a flash, all the creatures are violently struck. The blonde smiles confidently, calling it his square box skill. He then compresses its power, forming a magic cube that crashes to the ground. Everyone is stunned by Oikawa's incredible skill, and he picks up the small cube, saying he absolutely hates surprise attacks. Rei quickly rushes over to the blonde, demanding an explanation of that skill. Oikawa explains his skill is called square box, and that it's one of his barrier abilities. He then points out that it can't be used against a massively large enemy, but on the flip side, it can neutralize the creatures that appeared there. He smiles, remarking it's quite convenient. Ray vaguely recalls hearing of it before, but he thinks the skill he just saw is truly mind-blowing. Then the blonde calls out to everyone, stating they need to keep moving. As he hums and walks away, the MC muses. So this is the strength of an S-rank mage. After walking a bit further through the dungeon, they finally reach the fiery barrier, and the blonde guy emphasizes this is the exact spot reported by their superiors. Aya exclaims it's incredibly hot there, and the MC wonders if they truly have to pass through it. Oikawa replies with a firm yes, but reassures everyone to stay calm as he'll handle it. He then creates a barrier over the wall of flames, opening a clear passage. He smiles, telling everyone to proceed. As they pass through, everyone is amazed by his feat, and once they cross the barrier, the MC tells everyone that the hole ahead is the passage to the boss room. He then turns, asking if everyone is ready. After everyone answers with a resounding yes, he gets excited and declares, "We're going in." With that, the group heads toward the boss room. But Oikawa is deep in thought about the MC, wanting to see if he lives up to the report's claims, as he's quite eager to witness it. As soon as everyone steps into the boss room, they realize the place is intensely hot. The MC's worry begins to mount, because the heat is truly unbearable. Then, a creature slowly emerges from the shadows. It's a level 68 flame claw tiger. Ray quickly draws his sword, blade glinting. He notes the boss's truly intimidating presence. The creature begins to unleash its raw power, conjuring a massive, fiery orb. The MC yells for them to erect a magic barrier, but Oikawa confidently claims it's unnecessary. The boss wastes no time, launching its scorching attack, but the blonde-haired man blocks it with his formidable skill. The MC is utterly astonished by Oikawa's ability. He grins, declaring he'll match their pace, maintaining his barrier and leaving the creature to them. Ray turns, acknowledging the plan with a nod. He assures Oikawa they'll handle the boss. However, a thought crosses his mind. They mustn't underestimate this creature, as even Oikawa's barrier could shatter if struck too many times. He then ponders whether to unleash his abyssal flame. But after observing the boss more closely, he quickly realizes that won't be possible. Flame claw tigers are notoriously fast, and it's also a high-ranking monster. Plus, the mana cost for dark abilities is incredibly high. Therefore, as he charges forward, he understands he needs to finish this boss with a different magic. And for that reason, he'll initiate the attack. He instructs his friends to seek an opening and strike. Ray activates his extreme body enhancement and leaps the moment he faces the boss. It lunges for the MC, but he swiftly evades the blow and counters with a fierce attack of his own. Yuri and Aya prepare their potent abilities, launching their fireball and mana conversion spells. The combined attack hurtles straight toward the boss, but it deftly dodges their abilities by leaping aside. Then it begins to put distance between them. Deeply worried, the MC realizes this was expected. The creature is indeed powerful, and a prolonged battle would prove disadvantageous, given the intense heat they're enduring. So if they can manage it, it would be best to defeat this creature as swiftly as possible. The blonde-haired guy intently observes the MC's performance and realizes at this rate, his stamina will quickly run dry. He's eager to see what the boy will do next. Ray takes a deep breath and calls out to Aya and Yuri, explaining they don't need to hit the boss directly. Aiming for its feet will work. Yuri exclaims, so the MC has a plan, and Aya shouts back, I get it. Both prepare themselves, and Yuri unleashes her ability, forcing the boss to move as she channels her power. Aya thinks to herself, in exchange for a higher mana cost, the furnace effect significantly amplifies my firepower. She then concentrates her strength into a stone bullet and swiftly hurls it at the boss, but it dodges again. However, the MC spots an opening, thinking no matter how agile this boss is, it can't dodge while airborne. Not wanting to waste another moment, he leaps toward it, imbuing his sword with his skill. Oikawa is absolutely astonished to see the MC's sword encased in ice. The boss is startled, realizing it's frozen in place, and Ray manages to land his attack, striking the creature squarely. The flame claw tiger can't react at all and crashes hard onto the ground. With that, they've successfully defeated the boss. The girls rush to the MC, saying, "You did it," but he emphasizes that it was all thanks to them. Oikawa smiles, thinking it was a wonderful team effort, and that the MC truly is a talented mage, just as the report claimed. However, he then ponders that perhaps the MC hasn't even revealed his true power yet. Ray calls everyone over and says they'll return to the association and file the report, but Oikawa activates his magic and asks everyone to wait a moment. The MC recognizes it, saying it's the same ability as before, and the blonde guy confirms, stating he wants to test the MC. The MC becomes confused and asks the blonde guy to be clearer. Oikawa explains that his box can be used both to capture monsters and as a training method. He then asks Ray to allow him to be honest, saying he wants to witness his true power, and that's why he wants Ray to defeat the monsters, sealed within his own unique skill. Oikawa makes one thing crystal clear: if things get too dangerous, he'll instantly seal the monsters back up. But ultimately, it's entirely the MC's call whether to accept. Ray clenches his fist tightly. As he ponders, he still doesn't fully grasp Oikawa's reasons, but even so, he's eager to gain more experience. Therefore, he states he'll accept the challenge. The blonde guy positions his ability right in front of the MC, and then he states he'll begin. The moment he opens the box, dark energy starts pouring out, quickly starting to twist and take form. Ray is utterly intrigued when he sees a black shadow. Oikawa knows that the monster inside changes its appearance, depending entirely on the fear its opponent feels. So, he wonders what kind of monster will appear now. After the creature fully takes form and releases its power, the MC becomes utterly frightened, as he sees that the terrifying monster before him is the legendary god of space and time, Kronos. Oikawa is utterly impressed and says it's the first time he's ever seen such a monster, but he thinks the MC really has something extraordinary hidden within him. As for Ray, he's paralyzed with pure fear upon realizing he'll have to face an opponent he never imagined encountering in this place.